I saw you, I was so nervous to talk. Happened so fast, went from so lonely to falling asleep in your arms. I used to be afraid to fall in love. My past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care. 'Cause you took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain, showed me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. Still got your smell wrapped in my bedsheets. Don't wanna wash it away. I know sometimes I get too caught up in all of the wrong things, but you're always there to guide me. I used to be afraid to fall in love. A past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care. 'Cause you took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain, showed me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. I used to be afraid until I met you. I was insecure, caught up in the pain, but you showed me how to heal. Took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain, show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. Numbed all the pain, show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. I still recall the first time I saw you. I was so nervous to talk. Happened so fast, went from so lonely to falling asleep in your arms. I used to be afraid to fall in love. My past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care. 'Cause you took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain, showed me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. wanna wash it away. I know sometimes I get too caught up in all of the wrong things, but you're always there to guide me. I used to be afraid to fall in love. A past relationship was a disaster, but now I don't care. 'Cause you took my scars, bruises and broken heart, and numbed all the pain. Show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. Used to be afraid until I met you. I was insecure, caught up in the pain, but you showed me how to heal. Took my scars, bruises and broken heart, numbed all the pain. Show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore.Numbed all the pain. Show me how to heal, and now I don't feel broken anymore. Searching for something that ain't lost. Have we got our lines crossed? We're wasting time on stuff that doesn't really matter, while wishing for something better. I try to fix things that weren't broken, misunderstandings and words unspoken. We fall apart, and I won't dare to say, do you feel the same way? Maybe you don't wanna know, but you don't see what you have in front of you. Or maybe I'm not enough for you, so maybe I should go. If I had known from the start, this wouldn't have ended with broken hearts. 'Cause I don't wanna waste my time. If we don't feel the same way, then don't pretend that everything's okay. Don't string me along the way you do. Just let me get over you. Maybe you don't wanna know, but you don't see what you have in front of you. Or maybe I'm not enough for you, so maybe I should go. If I had known from the start, this wouldn't have ended with broken hearts. 'Cause I don't wanna waste my time. No. time.
you